If you do this one thing every single morning, right after you wake up, before you even brush your teeth, you could be quietly putting stress on two of the hardest working organs in your entire body. And the strange part is, almost nobody thinks of it as a health habit at all. Most people see it as completely normal. Some people even see it as a treat. By the end of this video, you are going to look at your morning in a completely different way, and you are going to understand exactly why this habit matters so much, why doctors rarely talk about it, and what you can do instead starting tomorrow morning. So stay with me, because the answer is not what most people expect, and the way I am going to explain it will make perfect sense once you hear it. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Dr. Bennett, and if this is your first time here, welcome. I am glad you found us. This channel is all about simple, honest health information that actually makes sense, the kind of information that helps you protect your body for the long run, without scare tactics and without complicated medical language. If that sounds like something you want more of in your life, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now, because we are about to get into something that affects almost every single person watching this video, whether they realize it or not. Now let's talk about the kidneys for a moment, because before we get into the habit itself, you need to understand what these two small organs are actually doing for you every single day, often without you ever noticing. Your kidneys are about the size of your fists, sitting just under your rib cage on either side of your spine. And even though they are small, they are working constantly. Every minute of every day, your kidneys are filtering your blood, removing waste products, balancing the minerals in your body, controlling your blood pressure, and deciding how much water your body needs to hold on to or release. They do all of this quietly in the background without ever asking for credit. You do not feel your kidneys working the way you feel your heart beating or your lungs breathing. That is exactly what makes them so easy to take for granted, and exactly what makes them so vulnerable to small daily habits that slowly chip away at how well they function. Here is something that surprises a lot of people the first time they hear it. The kidneys are often called silent organs because by the time you start to feel symptoms of kidney strain, a significant amount of change may have already happened internally. There is no nerve sending you a clear, sharp signal early on. Instead, the warning signs tend to be vague. Things like feeling a little more tired than usual, mild puffiness around the eyes or ankles, needing to use the bathroom more at night. Many people brush these signs off as stress, aging, or simply a bad night of sleep. That is part of why understanding your daily habits matters so much, because prevention starts long before any symptoms ever show up. So now let's get into the habit itself. And I want you to really think about your own morning as I describe this, because there is a good chance you do exactly what I am about to describe tomorrow morning without even thinking twice about it. Picture a typical morning. The alarm goes off, you silence it, maybe hit snooze once or twice. Eventually you get up, and almost immediately your mind starts thinking about one thing: coffee. For a huge number of adults across the country, the very first thing that goes into their body in the morning, before water, before food, before anything else, is a cup of coffee. And I want to be clear about something right away, because I do not want this video to be misunderstood. Coffee itself is not the villain here. Plenty of research over the years has shown that moderate coffee intake can fit into a healthy lifestyle for most adults. This is not a video telling you to throw out your coffee maker. This is about timing, sequence, and what is happening inside your body in those first waking minutes, and how that interacts with a habit that millions of people repeat every single morning without realizing the bigger picture. Here is what is actually happening overnight, biologically speaking. While you sleep, for those 7 or 8 hours, you are not drinking any water at all. Your body continues to lose fluid through breathing, through skin, through basic metabolic processes, all night long. By the time you wake up, your body is in a mild state of dehydration. This is completely normal and expected. It happens to everyone. The question is what you do about it in those first few minutes after waking up. And this is where the habit comes in. Instead of replenishing that overnight fluid loss with a glass of water, many people reach straight for coffee. And coffee, because of the caffeine inside it, has a mild diuretic effect, meaning it can encourage your body to release even more fluid through urination. So think about the sequence here. Your body wakes up already running low on water, and the very first thing introduced into that already low state is something that can nudge fluid output even further in the wrong direction before any water has gone in to balance things out. Now, why does this matter so much for your kidneys specifically? Because your kidneys depend heavily on adequate hydration to do their filtering job properly. When you are well hydrated, blood flows through your kidneys at a healthy volume, allowing waste products to be filtered out efficiently and flushed away through urine. When you are dehydrated, even mildly, that blood volume moving through the kidneys drops. The kidneys have to work harder to filter the same amount of waste with less fluid to work with. Do this once on an isolated morning, and your body adjusts just fine. But repeat this pattern morning after morning, year after year, starting your day in a fluid deficit and then compounding it with a mild diuretic before any water touches your system. And over time, you are asking your kidneys to consistently operate in a more strained, less efficient state than they were designed for. There is another piece to this that most people never think about, and it has to do with kidney stones. Researchers have long pointed to chronic, low-grade dehydration as one of the most significant lifestyle risk factors for developing kidney stones. When urine becomes more concentrated due to insufficient water intake, minerals and salts that are normally dissolved and flushed out can begin to crystallize instead. This does not happen overnight from one cup of coffee. It happens from a pattern, repeated daily, where the body rarely gets a true chance to flush itself out properly because hydration is consistently delayed or replaced with something that works against it. Let me bring this to life with a story, because I think it makes this so much easier to understand. I want you to imagine someone named Mark. Mark is in his early 40s, busy job, 2 kids, the kind of life where mornings move fast and there is no time to think too hard about anything. For years, Mark's morning routine looked almost identical every single day. Alarm goes off, snooze once, get up, walk straight to the kitchen, and the coffee machine is already running before his feet even feel fully awake. He would have 2 cups before he left the house, often without drinking a single glass of plain water until sometime around lunch. He felt fine. He had energy. He had no reason to think anything was wrong. It was not until a routine checkup, the kind most people put off for as long as possible, that his doctor mentioned his blood pressure readings had crept up slightly compared to previous years, and a basic urine test showed signs that his kidneys were working a bit harder than expected for someone his age. Nothing alarming on its own, nothing that required immediate dramatic intervention, but enough for his doctor to ask some simple questions about his daily habits. And that is when the conversation turned to mornings. How much water was he drinking? When was the first time fluid entered his body each day? Mark realized, almost embarrassingly, that some mornings he genuinely could not remember the last time he drank a full glass of water before noon. His doctor did not tell him to quit coffee. She told him something much simpler, something almost anyone watching this video could start doing tomorrow. She told him to drink 1 full glass of water immediately after waking up, before anything else touched his lips, including coffee. Just 1 glass. Nothing complicated. No special supplement, no expensive product, no elaborate morning routine overhaul. Just water first. Mark started doing it, mostly out of curiosity more than anything else. He kept a glass on his nightstand and made it the very first thing he did each morning, even before checking his phone. Within a few weeks, he noticed small things. He felt a bit more alert earlier in the day, without needing that second cup of coffee just to function. His energy felt steadier instead of spiking and crashing. At his next follow-up appointment a few months later, his numbers had improved. Now, I want to be careful here, because I am not telling you this story to suggest 1 glass of water is some kind of miracle cure that reverses kidney issues on its own. Health is influenced by many factors working together, including diet, sleep, exercise, genetics, and overall medical history. What this story illustrates is something much simpler and, honestly, much more useful. Small, consistent daily habits, repeated over months and years, genuinely do add up. And the sequence of what enters your body first thing in the morning is one of those small habits that quietly compounds over time, for better or for worse. Now let's talk about why this particular habit flies under the radar for so many people, because I think understanding that is just as important as understanding the biology behind it. Coffee in the morning feels productive. It feels like self-care, almost like a small reward for getting out of bed. It is woven into culture, into routine, into identity for a lot of people. Saying good morning to someone and asking if they have had their coffee yet is practically a universal greeting at this point. Because it feels so normal, so harmless, so woven into daily life, nobody questions the order in which it happens. Nobody pauses to ask, wait, should water be coming first? It simply never crosses most people's minds, because coffee has been positioned in our culture as the start of the day, not water. There is also the comfort and ritual side of this. For many people, that first cup of coffee is tied to a moment of calm before the chaos of the day begins. It is not just a beverage, it is a few minutes of peace. And I completely understand that, and I am not asking you to give that ritual up. What I am asking is much smaller. Before that ritual begins, take 10 seconds to drink a glass of water first. The ritual can stay exactly the same. You are simply changing what touches your body first. Let's go a little deeper into a few related habits that often travel alongside this one, because they tend to make the overall pattern even more significant when combined. One of them is delaying that first morning urge to use the bathroom. A lot of people wake up, feel the need to go, and put it off because they are rushing to get ready, checking emails, or simply not prioritizing it. Holding urine for extended periods regularly can place additional strain on the urinary system and, over time, has been associated with increased risk of urinary tract infections, which left unaddressed can sometimes affect kidney health as well. Another related habit is skipping breakfast entirely or replacing it with something high in sodium, like processed breakfast meats or salty packaged foods, paired again with little to no water intake. High sodium intake forces the kidneys to work harder to balance sodium and fluid levels in the body, and when that sodium load arrives without adequate water to help process it, the kidneys are once again being asked to do more with less. None of these habits, on their own, in isolation, on a single day, are going to cause serious harm. The human body is remarkably resilient, and your kidneys have a significant amount of reserve capacity built in. This is not a video meant to frighten you into thinking your kidneys are in danger from one cup of coffee. This is about patterns repeated for years, sometimes decades, that slowly shift the baseline of how hard your kidneys have to work just to keep up with daily life. And the encouraging part of all of this, the part that I think gets lost in a lot of health content out there, is that this particular pattern is incredibly easy to adjust. You do not need a new diet plan. You do not need to buy anything. You do not need to give up your coffee, your tea, or your morning ritual at all. Here is exactly what I would recommend in the simplest possible terms. When you wake up, before reaching for your phone, before turning on the coffee maker, drink one full glass of water. Just one. Room temperature is fine, cold is fine, whatever you prefer. The goal is simply to give your kidneys and the rest of your body a head start on rehydration after a full night without fluid before introducing anything that might work against that process. After that glass of water, enjoy your coffee exactly as you normally would. Nothing else about your morning needs to change. If you want to take it one small step further, try to be mindful throughout the morning about spacing water intake between cups of coffee rather than drinking coffee back to back with no water in between. And when you feel that first urge to use the bathroom in the morning, try to prioritize it rather than pushing it off for an hour. These are small, almost invisible adjustments, but they are the kind of adjustments that, repeated daily over months and years, genuinely support healthier kidney function over the long run. I also want to gently mention this because it matters. If you have ever been told by a doctor that you have any existing kidney concerns, high blood pressure, diabetes, or any other condition that affects fluid balance in your body, please talk to your own doctor about what an appropriate hydration routine looks like for you specifically. Everybody's body is different, and general advice like what I am sharing today is meant to support broad, everyday awareness, not replace personalized medical guidance. If something about your own body feels off, if you have noticed changes in your energy, your urine, your swelling, or your blood pressure, please do not wait around guessing. Go see your doctor and get it checked out properly. Let me share one more story with you because I think it adds an important angle that the first story did not fully cover. This time, I want you to picture a woman named Linda, 61 years old, retired school teacher, the kind of person who took pride in being active and health conscious for most of her life. Linda walked every morning, ate reasonably well, and never smoked. On paper, she looked like someone with very little reason to worry about her kidneys at all. But Linda had one habit that had quietly followed her for over 30 years, ever since her college days. She drank her coffee strong, she drank a lot of it, and she drank it instead of water for most of the morning, often not having a real glass of plain water until well into the afternoon. When Linda turned 60, her doctor recommended some standard blood work as part of a routine senior health check. The results showed her kidney function was slightly below where it ideally should be for someone her age. Not in a dangerous range, but enough to be flagged as something worth monitoring and addressing through lifestyle changes before it potentially progressed further. Linda was honestly stunned. She had spent decades thinking of herself as someone who took care of her body. It took a real conversation with her doctor for her to understand that being active and eating reasonably well does not automatically cancel out a lifetime of chronic mild dehydration, especially when caffeine is consistently the first thing introduced into the body every single morning for 30 years in a row. What I want you to take from Linda's story is something a little different from Mark's story. Mark's situation showed how this habit can sneak up on a busy, younger adult without any obvious warning signs. Linda's situation shows that even people who consider themselves generally healthy, even people who exercise and eat well, can still be affected by this one specific pattern, because hydration sequencing is something that exists somewhat independently from diet and exercise. You can be doing almost everything else right and still be quietly working against your kidneys every morning if water is never given the chance to come first. Linda made the same adjustment Mark did, water first, coffee second, and she added one more small habit on top of it. She started carrying a refillable water bottle with her on her morning walks, something she had genuinely never done before in 30 years of walking the same route. At her next checkup, her numbers had moved back into a healthier range, and her doctor was pleased enough that she mentioned it specifically as one of the more meaningful changes Linda had made that year. I share both of these stories because I want this idea to land for as many different kinds of viewers watching this as possible. Maybe you see yourself more in Mark, someone busy and young and not thinking too far ahead. Maybe you see yourself more in Linda, someone who already feels like they are doing the healthy thing and might be surprised that one small piece was still missing. Either way, the lesson underneath both stories is exactly the same. The order in which things enter your body in the morning matters more than most people realize, and it is one of the easiest, cheapest, most accessible health adjustments available to absolutely anyone watching this video right now, regardless of age, income, or fitness level. I also want to address something some of you might be thinking right now, which is whether switching to decaffeinated coffee solves this issue entirely. It helps somewhat, since decaffeinated coffee has a much smaller diuretic effect, but it does not fully address the core issue, because the real problem is not purely about caffeine, it is about sequence. Even drinking decaf first thing without any water beforehand still means your body spends its first waking hour without addressing the fluid loss that built up overnight. The water-first approach solves the actual root of the issue directly rather than just softening one part of it. That is why I keep coming back to this one simple instruction throughout the video, because it genuinely is the most direct, most effective fix available, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Something else worth mentioning is how this habit connects to your overall energy levels throughout the day, which is honestly an underrated benefit that has nothing to do with kidneys directly, but tends to motivate people to actually stick with the change. Mild dehydration is a well-known contributor to feelings of fatigue, brain fog, and even mild headaches, the exact symptoms many people try to fix by drinking even more coffee. It becomes a bit of a cycle. Wake up dehydrated, feel sluggish, drink coffee to fix the sluggishness. The coffee provides a temporary lift along with a mild diuretic effect. The underlying dehydration never actually gets addressed, and the cycle repeats again the next morning. Breaking that cycle with one glass of water first does not just support your kidneys quietly in the background, it also tends to make people feel noticeably better within the first hour of their day, which is exactly what happened for both Mark and Linda in the stories I just shared with you. Now, before we wrap up, I want to hear from you, because this channel only works when it becomes a conversation rather than me just talking at a screen. I want you to think back on your own morning routine, honestly, no judgment at all. Because I promise you, I am not here to make anyone feel bad about their coffee habit. Down in the comments, tell me what your morning actually looks like. Does coffee come before water for you most days? Have you ever consciously tried drinking water first thing before anything else? I read through comments on these videos, and some of the most interesting health insights this channel has ever covered came directly from things viewers shared down there. So do not just scroll past this part. Take 30 seconds, leave a comment, and let's actually talk about it. And if this video gave you even one small thing to think about differently tomorrow morning, do me a favor and share it with someone in your life who you know reaches for coffee the second they wake up. You probably already have someone in mind right now. Maybe it is a parent. Maybe it is a coworker who always has a coffee cup glued to their hand by 8 in the morning. Maybe it is even your partner sitting right next to you on the couch while you watch this. Send it to them. Sometimes the most helpful thing you can do for someone is not a long lecture about their health. It is just a short video that gets the idea across in a way that feels easy to actually use. I started this channel because I genuinely believe that most people do not need more complicated health information thrown at them. What people actually need is clarity. Simple, honest explanations of how their body works and small, realistic changes they can actually stick with instead of overwhelming advice that gets abandoned within a week. Your kidneys are not asking for a complete life overhaul. They are asking for one glass of water before that first cup of coffee. That is genuinely it. That is the whole habit shift we have been building toward this entire video. If you found this helpful, and if you want more videos like this one, breaking down everyday habits that quietly affect your long-term health in ways most people never stop to think about, make sure you are subscribed to this channel and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next one, because we have a lot more of these conversations coming. I have got videos planned about habits affecting your liver, your heart, and your gut using this exact same approach. No scare tactics, no complicated jargon, just honest information you can actually use starting the very next morning. So here is your homework, and I want you to actually do this, not just nod along and forget by tomorrow. Tonight, before you go to bed, put a glass of water somewhere you will see it the moment you wake up. Your nightstand, your bathroom counter, wherever makes sense for your routine. And tomorrow morning, before anything else, drink it. Then go enjoy your coffee exactly the way you always have. That is the entire challenge. One glass, one small shift in order, and then come back here and let me know in the comments how it felt, because I genuinely want to know. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. I know there is no shortage of health content out there competing for your attention, so the fact that you spent this time with me today means a lot. Take care of yourselves, take care of those kidneys quietly working away in the background every single day, and I will see you in the next video. This has been Dr. Bennett. And until next time, take that glass of water first.